What sort of attitude is that?
Because if you just get yourself, buckled and say, "Okay, this is, somebody is going to raise this issue, somebody is going to raise that issue," you have to move fast. You are dealing with people who are out there, suffering.
General, the only disturbing thing is that 1 year ago, this is a year into the earthquake, there was discrepancies about multiple families versus joint families. Which you
These
said,
are not
which you said is,
discrepancies.
which you said you cannot have because you don't believe in a zero error approach. You said that's fine. You said you can appreciate and tolerate that. You also had problems about people in rented houses versus people who owned houses. You had intransparency issues, NOC system didn't work, went to the courts, etc. There was also problems with people who could not prove ownership because they'd lost the people who had those documents, or they'd lost those documents.
No. I think you need to.
There was also a problem with multiple deaths in a family versus which you said you'd only give resource permitting. There was discrepancy in the application of the Kashmir Distressed Persons Relief Act where injunctions.
And you start writing it. Because most of these things that you mentioned, first you need to understand one thing, that you are dealing with 3.5 million people. And if you think you can make all 3.5 million people happy, the prophets were not able to do it, and Nadeem Ahmad is just nothing. So I can't keep all 3.5 million happy, right? There will be complaints. So I'm quite okay with the number of complaints. People want to.
I've given you a cross section of. I read the names, I read the dates, I read the sources. I've given you.
Give me a cross section of newspaper telling me that ERRA is done well here.
Cross section of newspapers. No, nobody's taking anything away. Nobody's taking anything away. No, we appreciate the role of ERRA.
But
that's why we are here. That's why we are here. But a cross section of newspapers, and you deny them all categorically.
Yes. This is absolutely.
You're on national television. Do you think that sounds?
Yeah, I'm saying.
Do you think that sounds reasonable?
Yes, because I'm convinced that this is an absolutely wrong story which has been.
So all of the major newspapers in this country are hell bent on portraying ERRA.
I'm not saying that.
I'm saying that
this news report is not correct. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Okay. What about scars which are too deep to heal? Scars which are not seen. For example, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Psychiatrists on the ground have said that in some areas, 80 to 90% people have PTSD. It's especially high in women. Depression especially high. Depression is hitting the 70 to 80% mark in people. What have you done to take care of PTSD and depression in the area? Because consultants we talk to, people on the ground say nothing. Psychiatrists have said simple solutions like getting counselors, on-the-road counselors, and dispatching them to villages would help. A cheap solution, don't you think?
It can help, but then I think let this be taken on by the government medical or...
What you have, General, is a society, effectively long-term, what you have is a society which is depressed.
Again, we have, and I can, I think, give you the details of all the psychosocial support programs that we are running at different centers, children-friendly spaces, women-friendly spaces. Even the vocational training institutes are like a place where you can decompress. Even in my own experience, one of the best steps to look at the depression is to open up the schools where the children can go back and start to study. All these things help. And getting that level of normalcy back in life is also, again, very helpful. And this, at places we need, kind of specialist counseling, and wherever we could get some partner organizations to do it, we have done it. But again, as I said, if you ask me that has the entire area been covered, my answer will not be as well informed as probably you are expecting.
General, 80% of your society there affected is depressed. And you're telling me you have a handful of psychotrauma centers. 80% of the society, according to the specialists.
Probably I won't like to say anything more on this because, as I said, I'm not current on the figures, okay. So I'll probably apologize on that and excuse myself because I don't want to say anything on which I'm not 100% sure.
We have to take a short break here. We're talking to Lieutenant General Nadeem Ahmad, the Deputy Chairman of ERRA, on a special episode of TalkBack 2 years after the quake. Don't go anywhere. Glad to have you back. We're talking to Lieutenant General Nadeem Ahmad, the Deputy Chairman of ERRA, on a special episode of TalkBack. Okay, let's talk about ERRA's powers. Now, according to reviews, ERRA can employ staff, and correct me if I'm wrong, employ staff and officers on regular or contract basis, engage experts in unspecified numbers, approve projects, sanction budgets, reappropriate funds, and award contracts, and ask for information from anyone and demand assistance of any authority anywhere in the country. Is that correct?
If you're reading it from some document, it must be correct. Yes.
Okay. No, you just
By and large, I
you
think
disagree with documents,
No,
General.
no, no.
Section 11 of the order setting up ERRA says that no suit, prosecution, or other legal proceedings shall lie against the authority, the council, the board, the chairperson, or any member, officer, servants, advisors, experts, or consultants in respect of anything done in good faith. Nobody can take ERRA to court.
So who's the person who's to decide that it is in good faith or not? It's
I
the
hope
court.
it's the courts.
So when if it's the court, so this means you can be taken to the court.
Okay, now, following on from that setup, a serving military officer, which is yourself, who is also the principal accounting officer, is that correct?
Yes.
Cannot be investigated by NAB
Why?
because you're a serving military officer. So you are unaccountable to the National Accountability Bureau.
I am not aware of this legal provision. I'm
Well,
very
now
happy
you do.
to
Now you are,
I'm
General.
very happy to hear that I'm not accountable. But